The film begins with a guy named Jackson, who loves going on adventures and is climbing an icy cliff. While climbing, he thinks about his happy family. Soon after, Jackson gets a call from his friend Bill, who asks him to be a guide for someone going hunting. In the past, Jackson used to be a Marine and now works as a nature tour guide. After coming back from the cliff, Jackson goes home and is shocked to find his wife with another man. He gets really mad and fights the man. Surprisingly, his wife doesn't feel sorry at all and even yells at Jackson for not being home for a long time. There, she gives back her wedding ring and hits Jackson with a pan. The next day, Jackson went back to nature to relax and clear his mind. While there, he saw a group of deer peacefully roaming around without any disruptions. After finding peace in his heart, Jackson decided to visit Bill, who had called him the day before. Soon after, Jackson arrived in town to meet his friend and checked into a hotel to drop off his things. Just as he was about to enter his room, a gorgeous woman appeared from the room next door and gave him a curious look, sparking his interest. Meanwhile, on a nearby hill, a group of mercenaries were searching for a pilot. They had information that the pilot's plane had crashed in that area, and they were looking for a suitcase containing money and important documents that the pilot had been carrying. Afterward, Jackson went to a bar and ordered a drink. To his surprise, he saw the beautiful woman from earlier there. She worked as a waitress, and the bar owner told Jackson about her. Later, a tipsy guy named Murphy struck up a conversation with Jackson. After chatting with Murphy, Jackson went back to his hotel room to prepare for his hunting guide job the next day. Suddenly, he heard a commotion outside and went out with his rifle. He saw the beautiful woman being bothered by a man, but when the man saw Jackson with his gun, he quickly left, and the woman thanked Jackson. The following day, Jackson went to meet his friend Bill and discovered that the guest he would be guiding for the hunt was the same beautiful woman from the bar. This surprised Jackson, and he learned her name was Kate. They got to know each other better. After a short chat, they headed towards the hill. Jackson asked Kate why she wanted to hunt when there were other activities that might suit her better. Kate explained that she wanted to hunt because her father used to be a hunter, and she wanted to scatter his ashes in the hills of that area after his passing. Hearing this, Jackson told Kate that hunting wasn't as easy as it might seem. After a long journey, they reached their accommodation. Kate, feeling tired, decided to rest. Meanwhile, on the hill, a leader named Ellie was overseeing the mercenaries searching for a pilot suspected of taking a suitcase with money and important documents. As night approached, Jackson advised Kate to get some sleep since they would start hunting early the next morning. Kate suggested they split up to hunt, but Jackson refused as it would be too risky for her to go alone. He felt responsible for her safety as his guest. Hearing that, Kate agreed to rest, while Jackson spent some time reminiscing about happy moments with his family. He remembered playing softball with his daughter, and a tragic incident where she was hit by a careless driver, leading to her death and straining his relationship with his wife. The next day, Jackson and Kate left their tent and began their hunting adventure. Jackson started teaching Kate the basics of being a hunter, like staying calm and quiet when aiming. Meanwhile, on the hill, the mercenaries were still searching for the pilot who had taken the money suitcase. But even after 2 days, they hadn't found the pilot yet. Back to Jackson and Kate, they reached the bottom of a steep hill. Jackson asked Kate to stay below while he went up the hill to scout for game. As he climbed, Jackson spotted a group of deer he planned to hunt. Using binoculars, he noticed something strange. To his surprise, he found a pilot hanging from a wooden plank. Cautiously, Jackson approached the pilot with his rifle. Upon closer inspection, Jackson discovered a suitcase filled with money and important documents. He also realized the pilot was already dead. Worried, Jackson hurried back down the hill and heard gunshots. It turned out that Kate was trying out a rifle. At that time, Jackson asked her to return to the tent since it was getting dark. When night came, Jackson and Kate enjoyed a campfire, but Jackson hadn't told Kate about what he found on the hill yet. After chatting for a bit, they decided to rest. The next morning, Kate woke up late and asked Jackson why he didn't wake her up. Jackson mentioned that he was thinking of taking Kate back to the hotel, which annoyed her because she came there to go hunting. Unexpectedly, the mercenaries seemed to have found them and began shooting at them. Jackson, being a former Marine, fought back, and some of the mercenaries were killed. Fortunately, Jackson and Kate managed to escape, but Ellie ordered her men to chase them. In that moment, Kate was confused and asked what was really happening. Jackson finally admitted that he had taken a suitcase with money when he went up the hill the day before, which was why the mercenaries were after them. Upon hearing this, Kate suggested that if they escaped, they should split the money they found in half. Jackson agreed, but first, they had to deal with the mercenaries. Meanwhile, Ellie got in touch with her subordinate, Maximus, and told him that Jackson and Kate were heading south in the forest. Maximus rushed to the location as instructed by Ellie. Long story short, Jackson and Kate had reached a narrow street. Soon after, they heard the noise of a motorcycle passing by. Jackson was sure it was the mercenaries' motorcycles, so he told Kate to hide in the trees with a rifle while he dealt with the soldiers. Turns out Jackson's hunch was correct, as two mercenaries rode down that road. Jackson acted as if he was giving them the bag, but suddenly Kate shot them from behind the bushes, and they all fell down. However, another soldier grabbed Kate with his gun, but Jackson quickly shot that soldier to save her. Just as they were about to leave, they were attacked by more mercenaries. Fortunately, Jackson managed to defeat them all again. Kate was amazed and asked Jackson who he really was and why he was so skilled with weapons. There, Jackson explained that he used to be a Marine soldier, but chose to retire and become a tour guide for some reason. After that, they decided to keep moving. Soon after, they reached the river's edge and saw a cliff. Jackson suggested climbing to the top of the cliff, even though Kate was initially unsure if she could do it. There, Jackson reassured her, and he planned to go up first to secure a rope for Kate. But as Jackson was about to reach the top of the cliff, Maximus suddenly attacked Kate. Kate fought back with all her strength against Maximus, who was clearly a great opponent. While they were in a fierce battle, Jackson shot at Maximus from the top of the cliff, causing Maximus to run away to avoid being hit. Afterward, Kate tried to climb to the top of the cliff, and with Jackson's help, she eventually made it up. As they continued their journey, Kate had suffered bad injuries from the fight. Jackson checked her wounds and gave some basic first aid by tying up her injured leg. Shortly after, they left that place and arrived at an old tree on top of a hill. At that time, Jackson decided to hide the suitcase of money there, planning to jetty it back later when things were safer. After hiding the money, they both chose to head back to the hotel. When night came, they decided to take a rest. The following day, they continued their journey. Unfortunately, Ellie and her group discovered their location, and they were trapped at the edge of a cliff. Realizing they had no other choice, Jackson and Kate decided to jump into the river. Eventually, they managed to escape, even though they were left drifting. Meanwhile, Ellie couldn't chase them any longer, so she returned to inform Maximus that Jackson and Kate were by the river. Fortunately, Jackson and Kate made it to the riverbank and left the area. They continued walking through a dry grassy area and finally came across a road. Soon after, a car approached and Jackson tried to stop it to ask for a ride. To their surprise, the driver of the car was Murphy, and he happily offered Jackson and Kate a lift. However, Murphy accidentally knocked Jackson on the head when he was careless, causing Jackson to faint. Murphy also told Kate to get in the car. Long story short, Jackson and Kate were found tied up in a room when they woke up. Murphy appeared and asked Kate about the suitcase of money, as he had information about it too. However, Kate refused to tell him where the money was, so Murphy woke up Jackson from his unconscious state. Murphy then tied up Jackson with the intention of hurting him. There he asked Jackson again about the money suitcase, but Jackson refused to tell him. This made Murphy very angry, and he planned to harm Jackson. But Jackson had managed to free himself earlier, so he quickly defended himself and killed Murphy. After that, Jackson rushed to rescue Kate. After freeing Kate, they both hurriedly left the place. Unexpectedly, Ellie and Maximus suddenly appeared, still trying to catch them. Soon after, a fight broke out between the four of them, but Jackson and Kate managed to defeat Ellie and Maximus once more. Finally, they could now enjoy the money without anyone pursuing them. At that moment, Kate thanked Jackson for the thrilling hunting experience. The next day, they returned to the large tree on the hill to get the money suitcase back. Shortly after, they opened it, intending to split the money evenly. However, Kate surprised Jackson by revealing a box containing her father's ashes, which actually concealed a gun. She shot Jackson and confessed that she was a mercenary from a different group, using Jackson to get the money. After killing Jackson, Kate left with the suitcase. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is never trust a beautiful woman with a box of ashes, or you might end up as the real ashes in the end.